Welcome to the Exhibit Marketers Cafe, and it's virtual lunchtime. I am Marlis Arnold, your host, and I am so looking forward to being with everybody today. I really look forward to Tuesdays are the highlight of my week because this is such a great time. I enjoy seeing everybody and just hanging out and chatting. But anyway, things are a little different today. We all know 2020 is the year that just keeps on giving. So over the weekend, our laptop fried. So Alan is attempting to join us from the iPad, but we may or may not be able to put up the links today. Those of you joining us from YouTube, they are already over in the description section, so you can find them there. If you're with us on Facebook, like I said, they may or may not get put up, but we will definitely share those later. So you can always catch those links. But anyway, so with that, it just never stops being interesting around here these days. But I always want to share some creative ideas. Not necessarily trade show related, but things that, maybe you could take some inspiration from. And by the way, go ahead and introduce yourself in the comments because those I can still work with today. Any comments that you put up. So share who you are, where you're from. And anyway, so we're happy to have you. But the first link, well, I can't say link that I want to share, but anyway, the first idea that I want to share with you is something here locally in Kansas City that they're doing. It's one of the local theaters. It's actually the children's theater, interestingly enough, but it's called Electric Poe. And so they're doing it between now and Halloween. And it's dramatic readings of two of Poe's short stories combined with electric guitar. So Chuck, I thought of you. But the really clever thing, they're holding it socially distanced in plots in historic Union Cemetery. So, I am not a Halloween kind of person. I'm just not into all that creepy, spooky stuff. But this one actually sounds kind of interesting. So we got a lot of hellos this morning. Jay Daughtry, hopefully I got that right. Hello, everyone. Looking forward to learning from this session. Al, one of our regulars from New York City, is here. Joseph Souza is here from Boston. Marco is here from Italy. So I love that we have our international contingent. Rama from Lev Promotions in San Diego. So another one of our regulars. Daryl Diamond is here from DC. So boy, we've got people coming in from all over today. We've got Scott Oser from San Diego, California. Hey, Scott and Rama are neighbors. There we go. Oh, and look, Alan got the iPad to work. So there is the link if you want to go check out Electric Poe. Oh, and I see Chuck is here from St. Louis. So Chuck, you might especially be interested to go take a look at that link because there's actually, I think there's a little sample in there you could check out. Oh, yay. I'm so glad. Because with a name like Marlis, I'm very sensitive. I always want to get people's names right. So, all right. Thomas Corcoran from Chicago. So we are hitting all the major cities today. So welcome, everybody. I know we've got some new people here who are friends of our guest, Nicole, coming up in just a few minutes. But I do want to share a few other stories with you first. The next one is Green Bay's, and I hope I get this one right, too. I think it's Weidner Center. Anyway, Fine Arts Center. They actually started, this article is really interesting because they started looking for ways to connect their artists with their audience virtually about 18 months ago. So this article is really interesting because it talks about how they took their idea and they really, of course, ramped it up this year. But they've set up multiple cameras and streaming equipment, and they are actually planning on streaming between 15 and 20 events between now and the end of the year. So they're going to do some professional performances. They're also going to do some student recitals. I mean, it's really cool. So anyway, I thought that was a fun, inspirational article about some creative things that one venue is doing. I see we have Monica here from Philadelphia. Sounds like Jay and Scott know each other here, so they're exchanging comments. All right, so there is the link for the Weidner Center in Green Bay, which if any of you have ever been to Green Bay, Alan and I drove around there one time. It's not for an NFL town, you think it would be big. It's not very big. Jason McGraw is here, Mr. Show Guy. So welcome. All right, so now some trade show industry news. TSNN had an article that talked a little bit about some of the places that are beginning to move forward, and then also talking about all of the need for congressional attention and getting some relief for the industry. And so here is that link. So there's links in the article where you can go and get a copy of the suggested letter to send to your representatives, and then also some other information. So it's really good thing to check out, because hey, they took time to give themselves money through the end of the year, so we need to make sure that they consider us as well in our industry. One of the things mentioned in that article, but there's a much bigger article that Alan's going to put up here in just a second, that Vegas has now increased capacity limits as of October 1st. It's kind of interesting how they are doing it, that you can have a maximum of 1,000, but no more than 250 in any one room. So they're dividing them out, and then it's also no more than 50% capacity. It's rooms of 250 or 50% capacity, whichever is less. So there's quite a few stipulations put out in this article. So I suggest you go to meetings today and check that out. And it's no general admission. It has to be tickets only. So it's interesting to watch how the different cities and the different areas around the country are coming back at different different plans, different standards. We have Nanette here from Fort Worth, Texas. So welcome. Then the next venue or next area we're going to talk about is Miami Beach. They are now at 50% capacity. They're GBAC certified now, which I think most of the major convention centers are going that route. They pretty much have to, in order to really compete going forward and to really, draw back the events. So Miami is now GBAC certified. They also have health ambassadors on staff to review all of the event plans. So there's the link for the Miami Beach. I also found an article on PCMA about the Florida Association of Mortgage Professionals, which I thought was really interesting. But then when I went back to get the link last night, the article's gone. So anyway, but if it happens to appear again, if you go back to PCMA Convene website, you might be able to search for it or find it or something, but I don't know why they took it down. It made no sense. But anyway, it walked through like all the different things that they did. And then it also had some response as to, lessons learned and things like that. So, okay. So Daryl says, we need to be careful about judging the difference between what's allowed and what's safe. LSU is now removing extra spacing between fans and allowing alcohol in their games. Doesn't mean it's safe. Yeah. No, that's very true, because I think the venues that have been GBAC certified, I think they are being very, very careful to do what they need to do. You're right, Daryl, some of the plans that I've seen for some things that are going on, it makes me wonder. And it also makes me wonder, how do I want to say this? How it could set our industry back if we have too many venues or too many events that are reckless and don't do the right things, and then it comes back to make us all look bad. So anyway, but it's just good to keep up with what different places are doing and just kind of know what's trending, I guess you could say. And so we have Danielle here from the Philly Burbs. So welcome, Danielle. And then our last article that I wanted to share is that LA's Comic-Con is still saying that they are going to have a face-to-face event in December. So we have a link for that Alan is sharing. So this, and those of you who joined us late, this is exciting that we actually have links today because we've been having technical difficulties. So it's just, this is the year that you just go with the flow. Whatever happens, happens. And if it works, you celebrate. And if it doesn't, you go, meh. Because you just never know. So, I also want to share, just give you a heads up. We will have virtual lunch next Tuesday. Then we will take off on the 20th because I'm actually going to be busy with a client project that week. So it's very exciting news around here, let me tell you. So we will take off on the 20th and then we will be back the Tuesday after that. So I just wanted to give you a heads up. And then we'll kind of take a look at, as we head into the holiday season too, what we end up doing. I don't know. I never planned when I started this in March. I didn't plan for it to go past the end of April. So, who knows? But anyway, I do really, like I said, I really, really love and look forward to every Tuesday. So, okay. I don't see that link for the Comic-Con. If it pops up later, we'll put that in. But I am going to go ahead and bring on our guest and introduce her. Nicole Burkhart is a good friend of mine. We've been Expo Chat buddies for years now. She's also been a guest on the Trade Show Insights podcast before. And so I invited her here today so we could talk about creative sponsorship ideas, because I know she's got a lot of great ideas. Now, she is no stranger to the events industry. She's been around for over 20 years, much of that time as a photographer. So she worked front of house and back of house, and she's also seen things from the sponsor side of view, the attendee side of view, point of view. And she also saw how often sponsors struggled to really make an emotional connection with the attendees. And she also knows, as we all know, the importance of comfort and personal care when you're at a physical conference. But obviously this year, she's also taken it and transitioned it into how do you show personal care and take care of your attendees when they're virtual. So anyway, we've got lots of great comments and ideas to share. So welcome, Nicole, to Virtual Lunch.
Thank you so much for having me.
You're welcome. Well, I want to start out and talk a little bit about, give a little bit of your background and where you are coming from with this. And then, we'll kind of start talking about some different conference sponsorship strategies.
Yeah, well, basically I've been around for about 2 years. This was supposed to be the year where I was going to really bust out and make some changes. I was going to start exhibiting and all that kind of stuff, but well, that didn't happen.
Yeah.
So, basically what I've really done is I've modified, my package used to take care of attendees' needs at a conference. So, it had a Band-Aid in case you got a blister. It had an emergency in case you had a hangover. It had aspirin. It had, different little things that just, kept you happy on the road. And what I've done now is I've just adopted those things to what are people's needs at home. We're not allowed to, we're not going out as much, even if we are, like, services aren't available. Everyone's got really long, crazy hair, and, it's just, we all have the same needs, even though we're far apart, we're the same, community. So basically my packages address people's needs at home. So, I just launched Seeds of Community, which is basically custom printed seed packages with vegetables and herbs that can be mailed out to an attendee. And there's a couple different levels so that, basically I want a package that could be sent out to all attendees, a slightly, more valuable package that could be sent out to your leads from a conference, and then, a higher end item that, is a thank you for, continuing to work with me. But basically all of my packages are based on home care. So, one will be like a spa package. I realized that there's, everybody's giving out hand sanitizer and everyone's hands are all dry. And, you have like things like on your face from wearing the mask, and, you're not exfoliating or taking care of yourself the way that you should. So, instead of sending out a branded hand sanitizer, why don't we send out something that, people can actually use to, address what the hand sanitizer does?
Well, exactly. I mean, because I was going to say the hand sanitizer has kind of become a cliche at this point. It was back in the day, it was clever, and there for a few months earlier this year, it was much needed and much appreciated. But now I think that the whole thing is, getting beyond and getting more creative and getting, doing something that really shows that you've put that additional layer of thought into it. And I actually, we're going to kind of walk through some things today, and I will put up a link later, but I did a webinar this summer with Personify. They asked me to come on, and Rich Ballister and I, he's from Personify, if you don't know him, but we did a little booklet of 30 sponsorship ideas for virtual events. So I have that PDF available. I will put the link up later in the interview here, but there's so many different things that you could do. I mean, some of the things from the physical world translate over to the virtual world, things like, doing, well, like you said, the care packages, you've just shifted from, instead of sending them to, for a physical event, you're sending them to the person's home or office ahead of time. So, then there's other things that are very different about the virtual world. But let's talk a little bit. Let's start with like virtual happy hours. I know that's become something that a lot of events are doing. And I know that you have some creative ways that you tie in with the virtual happy hours. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, as we're all cocktailing more these days, I basically put together this package that has sort of the accoutrements, the things that, put your cocktail to the next level. Like I found these really nice seasoned olives, a seasoned salt, some like elderberry flower liqueur, like and those kind of things. You were so nice to introduce me to this woman who does she does virtual cocktail hours. She's an actual mixologist. I'm not a mixologist. I can just give you the stuff and I can give you recipe cards or, whatever. But she will actually do a presentation. And I was like, wow, that's such a great way to, first of all, get people talking, make it feel kind of normal, give them something that, they have in common, like, oh, they're making this, I don't know how to muddle mint or, whatever she wants to do. But, there's some way that, I think that she and I can kind of coordinate to really help take a sponsor to the next level. I also found a company that I think they work in 38 states, but you can place an order through them, and they have a local liquor store deliver to their house, which is, you can't mail. There's all kinds of issues with mailing out.
Yeah, I was gonna say the logistics of that, or
I learn things every day.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, that's okay. That's another issue. All right. But I just keep going through the layers and trying to find. So I don't know that this will work for every member of the attendees. I don't as I said, I think it's 38 states, but I don't know what the reasons are that keeping that out of the other states. But I'm definitely going to give them a call and be like, what can we do?
Well, and the thing is, I've seen some virtual happy hours where, they don't necessarily, and it's wonderful to be able to send it. But like you said, there's still, I just attended one last week where they had a mixologist or a sommelier or whatever she was demonstrating a couple of different drinks. And so, she walked through and like you said, she demonstrated how to muddle and different things. So she made these 2 drinks. Then they had a chef at one of the restaurants, they were, back of house in the kitchen, filming the chef, putting everything together. And then the next day in our follow-up email, they sent us the recipe for the salmon dish that he had made. So, and there was a lot of, you talked about having that interaction. There was a lot of engagement. I mean, there was a lot of comments, because some people were saying, oh, I've had that dish at the restaurant, or, so there was, because it happened to be a local group. So, we're all familiar with the restaurant, but but yeah, I think there's so many ways to make it interactive and make it fun and make people feel like they're a part of the actual event and not just, viewers.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the other objective that I have is, I kind of, one of my pet peeves is everything in your package needs to be branded. Like your name has to be all over it. And I like subtle things. Like I want one thing that is branded well, but will have a lasting shelf life in someone's house. So, for the cocktail package, there's it's nice, like elongated sort of shot glass that, you could also use an aperitif, but it's frosted. It's not like, oh my God, here's your logo.
Yeah.
Or, I have a sustainability package that comes in reusable produce bags that has the sponsor's logo on them. Or Preserve makes a container that's made of 100% recycled plastic, and they'll put their sponsor information on it. So, it's trying to help the sponsor have a lasting impression, beyond a pen or hand sanitizer or
yes,
the typical things that we think of.
Yes. And Rama has some really good points here. By the way, for those who don't know Rama, she's actually with Lev Promotions, which is a promotional product company. She says there are 3 or 5 states that don't allow you to ship alcohol into. The custom wine companies that she works with can send to all the ones where it's not illegal. But she says, please don't ever do this on your own, because none of the carriers, FedEx, UPS, none of them allow it coming in from a private party. You must have a special license. So, that's another example of, you gotta ask the questions. You gotta understand, and don't try to jump in and do something just, on your own without getting the advice of an expert, because you could get yourself in some deep trouble.
I mean, had I known Rama, hi Rama, if I had known her before that, she could have saved me like 2.5 hours worth of time with trying to figure out is this an issue? Is this a problem?
Well, there you go. Nicole meet Rama, Rama meet Nicole. That's what we're all about in virtual lunch, is bringing people together. So, so Monica has a question. Can you talk about how sponsors receive benefits during the virtual event, such as logo placement on the PowerPoint, verbal recognition, etc.? So, Monica, I actually have some points on this. Basically, there's a lot of different ways that sponsors can get recognition. I mean, as Nicole said, some of the items in the kit can be branded with the sponsor's logo. You can do, you mentioned logo in the event. You can do branded backgrounds. I personally, I do not, I can't say I do not. I hate the virtual Zoom backgrounds, because I think that's really obnoxious when somebody's shoulder disappears or half their face disappears or whatever. But, if you're working with a group and they're insisting they want to provide virtual backgrounds, that can be something that can be branded with a sponsor's logo. You can also have, just like in a traditional event, you can have, the branded logo on the slides for the presenters. You can have sponsorship, or you can have sponsored breakout rooms where, the sponsor has the opportunity to either introduce or play a little, like a little 30-second clip before the presenter session starts. So there's a lot of different ways that you can incorporate. Nicole, what other ways have you seen as far as?
I tended towards, I try to create relationships. I mean, that's, I want the sponsor talking to the attendee. I want the attendee talking to the attendees. But one of the things that I think is really important that a lot of sponsors overlook is having the sponsors participate in the event. Like, to be at the cocktail hour, to, to amongst everybody. It's not just something that they should be putting on for everybody else. It's something that they participate, they become more human. You now have a stronger connection. You're like, oh, I remember that guy. He dropped his ice, or his dog ran around the back, or whatever it is. I mean, here we are. We're all in our house. Like, this is where the magic happens. Kind of, everybody knows. So I think having sort of the fact that having a sponsor participate is crucial.
Well, you could even have your sponsor be the MC for the happy hour, have them welcome everybody, and then, introduce the mixologist or whoever the special guests are going to be, that kind of thing. And that way they're taking a front and center responsibility. Another conference I attended recently, they actually had sponsor breakout rooms. So like, just like at a regular conference where you would go on break and then, in between sessions, there might be exhibits in the hall or whatever that you could check out. They had actual sponsor breakout rooms. So, they would announce, okay, we're going to take a 20-minute break or 30-minute break, whatever it was. And we've got these 3 sponsors. And so you can go to, Joe's room or Susie's room or Dan's room or, whatever. And so that was an opportunity for all of us to kind of, you were just a blip on the radar there for a second, Nicole. So you're fine. But yeah, so they had the sponsor breakout rooms, and you could choose which room you wanted to go to, or you could hop from one room to another and, kind of ask some questions. They also gamified it. And so we got points. So there was points for the whole conference of all these different things that you could do and participate in. And so one of those was, you got like 50 points for each sponsor room that you hopped into during break. So, there's so many different ways but again, it takes, you got to think a little differently sometimes than you do at a traditional face-to-face event. But like I said, there's some things that really aren't that different from face-to-face and as far as the sponsorship opportunities, right?
Well, yeah. And there's really good opportunities for hybrid. And I don't know if you know Peter from Unwrap It.
Yes.
He basically, he does digital gifts and he does gamification. When we were talking the other day about, wow, what if, through this gamification, the 1, 10, however many winners that you want to place on it, get an actual thing mailed to them. It's a good way for, us to work together to make both of our services better. I absolutely believe in trying to support every single event professional out there right now. I'm doing a coffee package that, I'm working with a company that used to do carts at conferences, but they can't anymore. So, this helps sort of stay around, like, how do we all kind of work together and form partnerships that, make us all better than ourselves. I have I'm kind of wacky. I've got ideas going all over the place, but when I talk to somebody else and they're like, oh, I was thinking this, and I was like, oh, that's such a great idea. And, I think it's, we all get to play off of each other. And I think that's important these days.
Well, and that's true. And the thing is, right now, I think the more partnerships and the more cooperative activities that we do, the more we're all going to be able to come back from this. I mean, if everybody continues to try to struggle on their own, this is going to be a much harder climb out of the pit, I guess you could say. But if we're helping each other, then everybody the old saying of, rising tide raises all ships, we're all working together to try to get the industry going again. So I think that's really important. I do want to put up, before I forget, this is a link. If you just take your phone and scan the QR code there, that'll take you to my LinkedIn profile. You can just connect with me on LinkedIn and then let me know you'd like a copy of that 30 sponsorship ideas PDF. And so I can get that to you. Also, if you're curious about, there's a site online that you can make these free QR codes and fancy them up like I did. So if you're interested in that, you can just ask me about that as well. And I can get you that link because I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I just thought I would share. So, but anyway, so let's talk a little bit more about some different things that you've done, the care packages and things. I know one of the things that I've heard from some sponsors is the challenge right now is because so many people are at home. And so you have to try to get that home address. Have you found that to be challenging, or is it that people get so excited when they think, oh, I'm going to get something in the mail, that they freely give out their home address? What are you finding?
Well, basically, I at the beginning of this, what I was really doing was employee appreciation gifts. Because there were no conferences going on, sponsors weren't spending any money, and those were very, custom and oriented to, who they were. So they gave me their addresses. I took off for like 2 months, I think, because I realized that I'm following the industry. Like I'm like, listening to everybody else about what they need. And what I really need to do is be out in the community and be like, talk to my neighbors. What do you need? What do you miss? What would you like to have? And then did all the research to, try and find the best product, and I had to relearn mailing. I had to, I put a bunch of things in a box and I sent them to one location. I have never had to individually, send things to other people. So I don't know that. And that'd be interesting if anyone here has any feedback on how hard it is to get an address out of somebody. But I'm assuming when someone says they're sending you, when someone says they're sending me a free package, I'm like, here you go.
Yeah. Well, and I guess part of it is I work from home. So for me, it's one and the same address, but I have heard that from some event organizers that it's a little bit harder sometimes to get people. But I think, again, if you've got that, if you're dangling that carrot of, ooh, we're going to send you a goodie box, or, and the other thing we haven't talked about too is unboxing. I participated in an event. Those who are regulars here heard me talk about it a couple of weeks ago, but I participated in an event where they shipped us the box ahead of time, and you open it and then it's all wrapped in black tissue paper, and there's a note on top that says no peeking. We're going to open this as an activity during the event. And it made it so much fun. Now, some people did admit that they had already opened it up and gone through everything, but for those of us who didn't, it was like Christmas. It was so fun. You open it, it's like, oh look, and so as they walk through, and some of it was during the presentations, and some of it was the sponsors. As the sponsors would do their presentations, they would say, okay, pull this out, this example of ours, and it just was really fun. So I think that's another layer that can be incorporated, is creating that interactive, interpersonal experience as well.
Yeah, I like it when it's shared. I don't think there's some of my packages aren't shared. I'm coming up with a sustainability package, which basically has products that people use at home to be more sustainable. That, you're not normally going to go out and try this and that and this, you know what I mean? Like, it's here's a little sample set. Try it out. Do you like this? Does it bother you? Would you buy this on your own? So, those things are just sort of different than, I kind of lost my train of thought there. What was the question again?
Well, you were saying the sustainability package wouldn't necessarily be like a interactive unboxing.
That's it. It's not really an unboxing thing. Like, we're all going to do laundry together.
Yeah.
Something like a cocktail package. I did something, it was called high tea. And it was basically like, we sent out, we found this nice little glass teapot. We got blooming tea, which is this, tea that you drop in and it flowers, and it's kind of pretty and it's unusual, and it had a little biscotti and some chocolate and whatever. So that when people were hanging out, it was a fundraiser and it was supposed to be a high tea, but we could bring the high tea to them. So one of the other things that this was their idea, and I was like, this is brilliant, was they had everybody wear hats. If you had a cool little derby hat or something, and they had a little contest, you vote for the best hat. And I was like, oh my God, that's so brilliant. I personally would have had to make a newspaper hat because I don't really have any around. But that's what newspaper anymore. So.
Well, it is, again, there's all kinds of ways to get people interacting. Danielle says, we've been hosting in virtual activations for our clients and prospective clients. If they register and want to participate in the event, they have provided the address, no concerns. So yeah, I think, again, it's just a matter of, making sure that people understand what, kind of giving them that FOMO, that fear of missing out. It's like, oh, if you give us your address, you can get a kit, and then some groups I know are doing where maybe they're charging a little extra, like one of the groups that I was in, we had to pay extra to get the kit. So, because they wanted to cover the shipping and everything. So, there's a lot of different ways to structure that, but Nicole, before we wrap up, is there anything else? Please do share how people can get in touch with you, but any other thoughts that you want to share with us that we haven't talked about?
Well, one of my special things, or, one of the things that I've always believed in is, I think that when a company gives back, it is so much more meaningful, and that people actually appreciate it. And it's those kinds of things that people don't forget. So it's like, seeds of community. It's like, not only are you giving seeds to, your attendees. I also donate seeds to urban agriculture programs, anyone who wants them. I work in the Boston area because it's where I am. But, you know, if anybody knows of any place anywhere, I'm like, have some seeds. It's good, you know?
Yeah.
But basically, you know, that not only helps, you know, it helps the community, you know, it helps the attendee, the sponsor gets, you know, recognition and for doing a good thing. And, you know, I absolutely believe people should have recognition for doing a good thing. So yeah, I think it's just, you know, think beyond what, you know, sending somebody a Post-it pad with your, you know, your brand on it is not going to be as meaningful as something that, you know, gives back or, you know, is sustainable or supports a company that is sustainable or supports people, you know, in the event industry who, you know, need support right now. So that's kind of my goal.
Well, and I like what you said about, you know, not just throwing your logo on something and tossing it in the mail. It's kind of like, you know, you think about how at Christmas, you know, were you more excited when grandma gave you socks or when somebody gave you something really cool, you know?
Although I found a company that makes these really good socks that say things like "I'm amazing" on the bottom, and I think that's like awesome. I think everybody should wear them every day. You know, they're going up on my website soon. You know, I just relaunched, so you know, go check it out. But things will be, you know, coming forward in you know the weeks to come, and you know, I'm on Twitter, I'm on LinkedIn. Say hi. You know?
Yeah. And your website is
conferencecarepackage.com.
Okay. And Danielle said, yes, they put a little teaser in their verbiage and she agrees with FOMO and it's fun. Yes, there's nothing wrong with providing a little FOMO because it really does motivate more than what you might think.
Well, and we need something to look forward to now because it's like, you know, I'm like, where's my next Amazon package? Is, you know, the most excitement that I get. And not only that, I'm checking on my computer. I'm not even going to my porch anymore. I'm like, is it here? Is it here yet?
You know? I know. Well, it's like I've got a package coming today. So yeah, I tracked it this morning. It's like, oh, it's on the truck. Okay. You know, so it's true. We really do get excited these days about deliveries. So
yeah, you know.
Well, Nicole, thank you so much for being our guest today on Virtual Lunch. And thanks to all of you who were first-time attendees or first-time diners, I guess we could say, today in Virtual Lunch in the cafe. So we hope to see you back. Like I said, we will be back next week. And then the week after that, we will take off, but then we will resume again after that. So Tuesdays, same time, same place. Thanks again, Nicole. And thanks to everybody for joining us. And we will see you at our next virtual lunch. Bye.